Great light changes everything, part R. That actually sounded more like a pirate's voice than it did the word two, but it is indeed the word two in Chinese. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, part two of great light changes everything. Once again, we have our lovely model. We're shooting in the hotel room. And this is, again, another example of, I saw this carpet and I was like, this would be really cool to demonstrate how great light can make something like craptastic carpet look good as a background. So I told my model, this was right after the mirror shot, I'm like, why don't you lay on the ground right here? And she has complete trust in me. She's seen a lot of the images from our shoot. She loves them. She thinks I'm amazing. And this is when I'll ask, my couple, my models to do things that seem kind of strange. I don't just come out of the gate, I'm not in a couple session. I don't just come out of the gate going, do this, I'm gonna make this crazy image. I always kind of warm up into these images where they might be wondering like, what is he doing right now? Because if I come out of the gate starting with that, then, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to get them into those poses and get them comfortable and get them relaxed and so forth. But by halfway through the shoot, when they see me creating amazing images, then I can start to ask them to do more difficult things. I can start to ask them to do things that they might think are a little bit weird, but then they see the results and they look fantastic. So we've built that trust, and that's what I'm trying to say. So I said, do you trust me? She said, yes. I said, lay down on the carpet. We're going to use this carpet as a background. She's like, okay. Now, once again, this comes down to visualizing, right? Go back to the last chapter, visualizing what great light is going to do in a scene like this, because this is actually what the scene looks like. We have our 85 1.2L. We have 1/100 of a second at f2 and ISO 1600 and 6000 degrees Kelvin with ambient light only, and that looks like boop. It doesn't look good. We have green light everywhere. We have yellow light everywhere. We have a muddy background. We have bad skin tone. We have no color in the eyes, no shape in the body. We have this red that doesn't look like red, it looks like reddish green. And just everything about the image does not work with that ambient light. So if you can't visualize what it's gonna look like with better light, then you're gonna miss over a scene that could be something great. And something as simple as just having someone lie down on carpet could be great. So what I liked about this scene though was that we had these lines, and so I thought it'd be cool to kind of have these leading lines kind of leading into our subject, and just as a nice simple background, drawing attention into her shape, her form. So I had her lay down on this. And then what we start doing is figuring out what I want for composition attributes. I already know my composition based on my leading lines, but what about the camera settings and attributes? I want a very soft look in this overall image, okay? I want soft, I want background separation. I don't need to see lint and detail on the carpet. Why would I need to see that kind of stuff? So I'm shooting at f2. By the way, if you've realized, every single one of my courses gets crazy silly when we get to the last chapter. I don't know why that is. If you like this version of me, just tell me, and I'll make this version of me our version through the entire workshop. It's really up to you. Okay, so we're shooting this image, and I want to go to around f2, so we have good background separation. We have these lines in the background which are visible, but we're not seeing detail on the carpet. We don't really know that it's a carpet aside from she's just laying down on something. With sync, we're indoors. We're indoors, crazy people. We don't need to worry about sync. We can definitely cut down our light without having to worry about HSS or ND filters. For the ambient light exposure though, check this out. What do? We cut from over here where we're at, let's see, f2, 1/100 of a second, and ISO 1600. So we went from 1600 to 200. That's 800, 400, 200, 100. 4 stops of ISO. That is f2, f2, that's the same. 100 to 200, that's 5. So a total of 5 stops, sorry, 1/100 of a second to 1/200 of a second is 1 stop. But that totals 5 stops. Logan's looking at me like I'm crazy right now, so let me just explain that to you. That's 5 stops of total ambient light cut. Total ambient light loss that we're cutting out of our scene. So now we've reduced and we've removed all that muddiness, and now we replace that with our own light, with our pretty light. So what do? I pop a Photex Mitros into our Westcott Apollo strip. I pop the grid on there because I want to control where that light's going. I pop the diffuser on there because I want it to be soft. I place that right next to our model's face. I'm firing from right to left, and then we take a shot, and it still looks like poop, as you can see right here. we're at 1/4 to 1/2 powerish. I think on this shot we're at around 1/2 power. Why does it still look like poop? Because we haven't gotten the right light quality, okay? So again, back to, your image isn't looking the way that you want it to. Go back to ambient versus flash balance. But now we've kind of gotten our ambient versus flash balance over here to some extent. We still have a little bit too much ambient light, which we are going to cut away. That's our test shot. So we're going to cut it away when we get to the 1/200 of a second. But the other issue here is the light quality. The light quality right now is not matching the look that I want it to have. It's still too hard. It's still too specular. It's not giving me what I need for this particular scene. Even though a hard light and a specular light is great for other types of shots, for this one, that's not what I want. So we back the Westcott Apollo strip and the Photix inside of it off just a little bit. We bust out the Westcott 5-in-1, our scrim on the inside. Once again, we open up, remember the key word, you open up the light source to be even larger than what it was. So we've opened up the flash once with the softbox. We have gone an additional step by diffusing that and removing some of the specularity, and it also opens it up a little bit more. And now we're adding another layer of diffusion onto that to open it up even further. And now it becomes a larger light. The scrim is held right next to her. The flash is behind that. We're allowing the flash to open up as it hits the scrim. And then we get this beautiful soft light that lands right on her. What lighting pattern is that? I'm waiting. I don't hear anything. If you said or thought Rembrandt, then you got your lighting 101 light patterns down pat. Because yes, that is Rembrandt. We have just that little bit of light spilling onto the opposite cheek, highlighting the eye a little bit. It's very close to getting looped, because basically for full Rembrandt, we kind of need to create a shadow here, but it's close enough. It's closer to Rembrandt than I would say it is to loop lighting. But we go for that light pattern, and we can control again the pattern on her face by simply just moving her chin back and forth. So moving it a little bit further, we get Rembrandt. Moving it further back the other way, we get loop lighting. But look at how beautiful and soft that is. Look at, with our test shot, we still noted that in the test shot there was too much ambient light still at 1/50th of a second. So we cut that down by going to 1/200 of a second. So the total 5-stop removal of ambient light really allowed our own light to take its place and to become the main light in the scene, and it becomes beautiful, it becomes gorgeous, it becomes this clean toned image with just great features over her skin, and we can see just everything, like that form and everything. It looks fantastic. Now for this pose, what did I have her do? I had her kind of just kick the hip up a little bit so we get a nice little exaggeration in the hip right here. It drops down, it comes back up. What we're trying to do is always maintain that hourglass figure in our female models, regardless of whether they're standing or whether they're sitting. You know, if we go back, let me go back to that last image. Look, do you guys still recognize this? Like, look at the shape in her body. Look at the shape. We're still trying to keep that hourglass figure, to keep those curves. You know, we want S curves, we want C curves, we want curves in the body. We want that slimming line to come down to the knees. We want to keep those curves because that is what makes a woman look like a woman. It's what makes girls look feminine. And we want to retain that, at least in every situation where we want our women to look feminine. If you want to make a woman look masculine, you pose them in a masculine pose that eliminates curves. And that would be basically doing flat-footed things, not swinging the hips, not moving, and doing these kind of things. So for the second shot, so for this shot, I just have her relax and kind of lean onto that one side with her hand right here. And then we have her just look straight into the camera, give us a beautiful shot of just her eyes. We focus on her eyes. We focus on her expression. She looks gorgeous. It looks amazing. Her hair just lights up. It looks incredible. And then I have her bring the hand up to the head to kind of create a nice little triangle there. We have a triangle here. Look at this. Triangle, 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 triangle. Okay, so using shapes to make your images interesting, right? So we have her bring her hand up to her head, which kind of brings our attention into the face, but then we don't see the eyes. So we're able to kind of glance around the image and take in her form and everything else. The eyes aren't drawing us in. And so I like to kind of sometimes close the eyes and allow the viewer to focus more on the body and the form and everything else in the image rather than being drawn in the face. And then you have those shots where the eyes are open and you allow the eyes just to pull the viewer in and just look, because she has an amazing expression and beautiful eyes that just suck you right in. So you can tell I like these types of shoots. I love boudoir, I love fashion, I love fitness, I love bikini. Like, all these types of shoots are so awesome. Because what other type of photography allows you to focus on pose and form and lighting in the kind of pure way that these types of shots allow you to do that? With every other type of shot, when I'm doing wedding photos, I generally have a couple or a group of people that I'm using to kind of conceal. I'm using clothing, and everything else is kind of helping me out to clothe and conceal and to do everything, you know, that I can't do as far as the pose goes. But when you cut it back to just a single subject, and you cut that clothing back to something that's either tight, form-fitting, or maybe they're going implied nude, or maybe it's a fitness shot where they don't have a shirt on and so forth, then, I mean, for the guys, the girls would still have their shirts on, of course. That'd be a weird fitness photo shoot. That wouldn't really be fitness. So with those types of shoots, we are left with just the body, the form, the pose, and the way that we add and subtract light to it. So it's such a great practicing tool for photographers. And this is why, you know, great artists, all the great artists of the past, the classic artists, they always painted the body, because painting and shaping and light shaping the body on canvas help them to understand posing and form and all those kind of things. So I'd highly recommend taking this type of stuff on. It's an absolutely fantastic tool to really refine your lighting and posing skills. Hopefully this helped you all out in seeing how we're going to visualize this scene and add great light, and how that great light simply turns a scene that is a walk-away scene, something that we would just ignore, into something that is actually pretty incredible. Let's go on to the next video.